What's up, people? It's XONOX here, and weirdly enough, I'm doing his introduction for him, so there's that, I guess. And today's topic, we're going to talk about a lot of shit. But first, we're going to talk about anti-hero archetypes. By the way, dude, you can also go on TV Tropes and check that out too, because they have plenty, several like sliding scales of that. And
Working
today,
on it.
we're just going to talk about both the good and bad types of anti-heroes. And with that in mind, we're also gonna dive into well a lot of shit in this video. So get ready and buckle up for the ride.
Yeah. And the one thing that we are consistent, we are inconsistently consistent. We are
That's for certain.
professionally
Yeah.
unprofessionals.
Hey, that's the whole point of imperfectionism. You learn from your mistakes, they be refined. That's the whole point about being an imperfectionist.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
today we're gonna talk about. We're gonna basically talk about like okay, I'm just gonna go on a topic here, and also we sometimes, at least on my end, we'll cover topics of things that people don't really talk about too much. Usually, especially with certain fans. Like for example, in today's video, I'm gonna go on about why Denji's a bad anti-hero and give examples of like good anti-hero archetypes, basically. So with that in mind, I'll let him bring up a screen of like, well, I'm pretty sure he already has it, but yeah,
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen at the right now. So yeah, basically I gotta put up
yeah,
what is basically for lack of better words, it's the TV shows page of what is considered anti-hero. Este,
right.
yeah, I gotta set up right there right now because for some reason, my computer was like, no, you're not gonna do that today.
It
Let me see.
happens.
There you go. TV tropes. Yep, there you go.
Hmm.
And there you go.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. And I'm like in the weak corner of the screen that looks like I'm being squished. Well, yeah, if the, I had the, I have the TV, if the TV trust page, and I will send the share screen to you, so on paper we should supposed to see the same thing.
Yes, because at the moment I am technically blind, and I do mean that uh, genetically. Okay, now I see the page,
Yep,
and yes.
I had
Oh wait a
the
minute, wait. What page did you
specifically.
go to? Wait,
I
which?
went I went to
Wait,
the
wait. You went
anti-hero.
on there.
Yeah,
You went on here on video games, dude.
no, but it is the anti-hero video game like set page. They have their own separate page.
Well, I mean, no, I was gonna say like because I remember last time I was on here, they had like a whole little thing about like sliding scale of anti-heroes and anti-villains. Maybe if you find that, because I was kind of pointing towards that, but I guess you weren't familiar with that then.
Yeah. Okay. Size scale. Okay.
Yes, it's somewhere here, unless they switch it up because it's been a minute.
I
But who
mean,
knows?
they always update it, so that's another thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Mm. Okay, aquí these are the related topics. There's antichrist. There's anti-hero substitute. The chess master went heroic.
Ironic. Okay, I mean these are okay. I mean, I guess this page helps too. But then again, it's like, oh well. Then
Yeah.
there's a classical anti-hero who suffers from flaws and hindrances. Oh, okay, I've seen that. I've seen that trope before. Hell, I literally grew up with that trope.
I mean, this is during like in the comics day during the dark age of comic books, which was, let's be honest, the worst period of comics. Like everything was so
You mean the
exaggerated.
'90s?
Yeah.
You mean the '90s? Because that was the darkest point for comics, and they were crazy with the anti-hero. See, it's really up there in the first one, '90s anti-hero, specific anti-hero from the '90s, usually from the comics. The average has a darker, edgier, and contrast heroes like the Cape. Yeah, like '90s anti-hero, they are super dark. I remember on what's his name, Stain's page from My Hero Academia, he literally put him as a '90s anti-hero, which he kind of was,
He
because he
he
was super darker.
yeah, the only
He
problem
just
he died
went
early
into
on in the
extreme.
story. Yeah, he died early on in the
He didn't
story, so
die, dude. He
no?
did not die. He just got locked up. What are you talking about? No,
Oh
he got
wait.
locked
No,
up.
no, no.
He didn't die.
I think I'm confused with another villain. Shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm like he didn't die. He literally showed him in a panel. He just locked up. I
Oh,
remember.
It was so early in the story, so I forgot that he was even alive.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's cool. No, but you see, like these are examples of anti-heroes, and these are the ones that, like, again, like showing like the Byronic hero where they have a dark, troubled past, but they are sympathetic. Where they're not really like, especially if they're like their origin, they're not really heroic type, but at the same time, they do carry elements of like things you consider sympathetic.
Yeah, I think.
And unfortunately, and then unfortunately, like, okay, dude, first, let's talk about what we were, what you saw on, I hate to go this direction, but Denji's page where it
Oh,
talked about like the Hope thing and how we were both like, okay, that's some bullshit. And I even asked you what part of his chapters ever showed anything having to do with Hope, period.
like helping people. Like the only time that I can say with certainty that he did that, but it doesn't help that his justification for it doesn't help at all, right? If
Yeah, the
the
reasons for it aren't good. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's genuinely altruistic, not some opportunistic stuff.
No, because the one thing that Denji is very consistent on in Chainsawman is that he is horny, like straight up,
Exactly.
even Asa. That now recently, if whoever watching this video, like two people who is up to date with Chainsaw Man, like they're basically establishing a romance between Denji and Asa, despite the lack of chemistry.
Dude,
But like
dude.
she even pointed out when he
I
was doing his superhero thing going on for a short period of time,
Mhm.
right? He was saving
Mhm.
exclusive, almost mainly women, and he by his own admission, he's trying to get laid. So it's like
Yeah,
with his superhero.
speaking of which, I see a trope on here that definitely fits his part where it says only in it for the money, but in his case, only in it for horniness. That definitely would fit on his page.
I mean,
He's
there.
only in it because he just want to get laid.
I mean, even in the TV show's page for Denji as a character, like they do mention that he's a hedonist.
Yeah, but again, his motivation, let's be honest, he doesn't have much of a motivation. The only thing he's just after is just sex and titties. And then I even asked you like, yes or no, would he definitely if he was also for sex if he saw the opportunity for it?
I mean, if we gotta use the Chainsaw Man church example, probably, yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Like because
There
like
you go.
he wasn't interested in the church first. When they told him he could get laid,
No.
and then he was on board. But when they
Mhm.
told him if you're gonna have
See,
sex with someone, you have to marry that somebody, he's like, nah.
there you go. Which tells me that even though he had something going with Rize, the moment it would have involved him, hooking up with her and having kids, then he would have dropped out on that too. So there you go. Then he would have fucked up everything with Rize at that point.
Probably.
It's
Although
like, well,
I
he
will
would,
I will put a
dude,
caveat for the Rise
probably,
one because
dude,
she was the only.
probably, dude. If Yeah, but dude, if he's not for it for that with a part church, then what makes you think he'll be for it with her then? If with a different situation where it's like, oh yeah, you can get laid here as long as you can hook up with them, and then that's where that's where the deal breaker starts. What makes you think there won't be a deal breaker between him and Rize then if he's gonna do that with the Chainsawman church then?
Yeah, the only say I
You
put a
said,
caveat the only say I put a caveat for Rise because like how they were doing the story for the Bomb Devil story arc, right? Even it's very
mm-hmm,
short, so it's like a movie length long. It's the basically Reisei was supposed to be the opposite of Makima, that she was a good influence of Denji, right? And she was
mm-hmm.
the only person who genuinely had romantic feelings for Denji, unlike Makima, the reason he's seducing Denji for more pragmatic reasons. If the
Yeah, but
power has more like a brother
yeah,
sister
but
relationship, and if
yeah, but
they go on.
Yeah, but dude, here's the problem again. Yeah, but here's the problem again that you left out. We've talked about before. Denji also doesn't really care about Makima either. He's just seen her as a sex symbol, or not sex symbol, but just as like means
No,
to
no,
an end too,
I know
in power, like you
no, I
said.
know Denji the person, but I talk about the Rise where because she was like the opposite, where she was the only good influence on Denji up until at the part two, right? As the and she
Right.
was the only one that genuinely has any romantic feeling for Denji, and they both share a common background of being poor, uneducated, homeless kids, right? Where she couldn't see him and her living a normal life, which was which what Denji ultimately wants in the end, you know, may or may not be the case that he will not be completely hedonist, but because the story ended when she died, so I can't say for certain how it would end up at the end.
Here's my problem with that. Here's my problem with that statement that you try to say with Denji about Rize, because you may almost make it seem like he would, but here's the problem with that. Even before me Rize, especially seeing his part with season one, and then as mentioned before me here, he made it very clear the only thing he's after is just getting laid. Even with Amino, the only reason why he's doing certain things is he thinks he's gonna get laid with her.
Yeah,
And so it tells me is that even with Rize, even if you want to go that direction, saying, oh, because of them having a civil background, whatever, and because she was an positive influence, I still see it as Denny just looking at sex with her. I don't see it as him thinking. Because let me ask you something: is there any part of him thinking, seeing more than just sex with her, or like him legitimately thinking, okay, I want to be, her supporting partner. I want to be, a
Dur-
positive,
during
person with her.
during the time of the story, no, the reason he straight up
See,
said he himself stated he still has feelings for Makima, even though they were having a connection with
okay,
Rise.
he's fucking it up. Oh, see, here's the problem. See, that's the problem. He's fucking things up. Here, you see, this is where Denji fucks up. See, is already a fuck up with him. Here, he want to get laid with Himino. Yeah, he still feels Makima.
Yeah,
Then Rize comes through, but Makima is like, okay, dude, make up your fucking mind. You
yeah.
see, at that point, that's on him
I
because,
mean,
like I said,
even
because listen, dude,
even
keep
part
talking.
two, like
I'm already
even in part two, after everything that happened to him, and after finally killing Makima, right, until the reincarnation Nayuta. But again, we're going like I'm using like the
right.
Buddhist conception where that's a different character
Oh
altogether.
boy.
It's the that he even by his own admission,
Uh
despite
huh.
everything that happened to him, everything that Makima did to him horribly, right? Because we already did like multiple videos why Makima is the good guy. The only thing we don't defend how she treated Denji, but like
Right.
despite everything what she did to him, he still has feelings for her despite everything.
But listen, dude. But dude, here's the problem with that again. See, here's another problem with that again. He's still thinking Makima is an ideal, not Makima the person. The
Yeah,
ideal that his fantasy. He's again, dude. You see, that's a bad example again because the way he's thinking about that is like how I was thinking of Roxanne. He's not thinking of Makima like, oh, I want to be a positive part. No, he's just thinking of her like the sexual fantasy thing. He's not thinking of her because, dude, we literally discussed over this
yeah.
about how
We did like three videos about
like I said,
Makima.
like for him, like if like for example, yeah, but no, but like I said, for example, like if Denji was ever confronted, like okay, name one time you came to Maki because you actually care about her feelings, not because you just want something from her. Oh wait a minute, that's right, he's never done that. So no, it's not because he cares. It's just him looking at think of her as an ideal. So even after everything that happened to him, that's not because of him, having feelings for her. It's just him just thinking of her as a sexual fantasy. That's it.
Pretty,
So even that's not a good example. So even that's not really a good example that you're making, dude. You're not making a good case for Zenji. Even that's really a bad example, really and truly,
uh,
because he's
I
just thinking of Mike. Because
I
listen.
tried.
Especially the part where he'll complain. But like I just said, especially in the part where he complains about her pretending that he mattered. Then, like I said, the moment if she would have had a chance to confront him on, okay, so name one moment you came to me because you actually care about me, not because you just want something from me. Then for him not to have an answer tells you everything right there. It's like, oh, so what do you complain about if you don't care then? There you go. Because,
I
like I
know.
said, I get what you're getting at, but at the same time, you're forgetting that Digi doesn't give a shit. It's like don't turn a blind eye to his bad part of it when there is a bad part. I'm just saying. That's why I keep saying, even with Rize, I'm not convinced that he doesn't see anything more than just sex with her. That's all that. Because listen, if he was thinking or thinking that way with Himino and Makima, then why is Rize an exception? Just because she's the one who has a closer like background with him and maybe a positive influence, he's still thinking of sex. And if you can't listen, if he hasn't even said anything about, oh, I want to be a good partner with her. Oh, I want to show her that I care about her. If he's not thinking like that, then guess what? He's just thinking of sex. So try again.
Yeah, at least I tried. Yeah,
Like I said, even with Asa, same problem. Even though they're trying to do that same problem, he's just thinking of sex. Even admitted to her in part two that he literally just want to get laid. It doesn't even necessarily be her; it could be anyone else. So it's like, yeah, he's not. See that right there is why I keep saying like he's a bad anti-hero. He may not be a bad person, but he's a bad anti-hero because he's just acting out of self-interest. His relationship, Makima's out of self-interest. Even Himino, that was just out of self-interest, just for his sexual gratification.
yeah,
And to be honest with you, I'm convinced that even with Rize is that just out of sexual gratification, so just still self-interest. It's not, oh, I genuinely care about Rize. Let me show her that I'm a good guy. No, he doesn't do anything or say anything like that, does he? Yes or no?
No.
So there you go. So I'm convinced with Rize, he's just seeing her as just X. He's not thinking of Rize like, let me show her that I can be a very positive man. No, he doesn't even think like that, period. It's
Pretty
literally
much.
just, oh, I want to get laid, and that's it. And that same thing with all the other women. I just want to get laid. That's it. Even with Makima, despite everything she's done too, but like I said, even again, even then, that's just him looking at her as a sexual fantasy too. So it's like that doesn't even really count. Same thing with the rest with Asa.
Yeah.
It's like you just, you know what would, you know what really would help. You know what really would help, especially if on the date where she just asked Denji, be honest with me, you would use me for sex, would you? And then knowing him, he would just be honest, right? He would be honest and say yes, right?
Yeah, the rare cases for Denji because you can't really like Makima, but it's like yeah,
That's what I'm saying with Asa, right?
yeah,
Well, in that case, congratulations, you just ruined your date. Now, what else you want to go for dude that just admitted he would use it for sex?
yeah,
It's like, congratulations, you just ruined your date.
yeah.
So at that point, so why should she hook up with him?
I
So why
mean,
should she hook up with him if he would just use it for sex? It's
I
just
mean
like that shows that he doesn't really care about
they did establish
how that
in
goes.
they did establish in part two where the beginning of part two where it was actually good, right? Where Asa was
Mm-hmm.
the main character, and we see the
I
Denji
know.
from and we see Denji from an outsider's perspective, right? Este,
Mm-hmm.
it's been established that he is basically a loser. You know, like
Pretty much. Pretty
you
much.
know,
Like, you see what I'm talking about? That's what I keep saying. He's a bad anti-hero. Like I keep saying, he's a bad. Like for example, let me use like examples like I've been talking about right now. Like let's use the infamous example. For example, Deadpool. He's an anti-hero, very well known one. But here's the thing: not everything he does is out of self-interest. Like there's literally storylines where he's literally killed so he could help save his friend's life, or literally take something so he can save his friend's life. So like that's an action that's not out of self-interest. Hell, you know what? I remember there was even this one comic, and I'm gonna use this example too of Deadpool, where I remember him discovering that he has a child with a woman that's from a Shield age, who was a Shield age. I forget her name, but it's like I remember him going about how because she was calling him a deadbeat, and he was going about how the only reason why he didn't get involved because he didn't know he had a kid with her. He already like left and had no knowledge of that. And
yeah,
then the moment he did find out, then he started like what he wanted to show that he showed that he cares about Ellie, and he wanted to be a good father for Ellie. There was even a storyline where I remember a group, I forget the name, it was a like Hydra group that stole his daughter, and he literally went out of his way to save his daughter. You see, like Deadpool, like I said, he has his moments of like basically like literally him actually being a good father. Like those are the instances you see him go out of his way to, help someone he actually cares about. I mean, like I said, there's even other storylines. I remember he had a friend that was suffering from something, and the only way I forget the whole context of storyline or fully the context, but the point is they needed vibranium to use the right kind of machine to further work better with the tech they were using in that area to help whatever his friend was suffering from with diagnosis. And in that storyline, Deadpool was basically going to go steal some vibranium to help that said friend. You see, so like his actions again, they lead towards a positive thing. While like I already mentioned before, like with Denji, is just like I keep saying, even when he was working at the public safety bureau, even that was just out of self-interest. Like I said, everything he does is out of self-interest.
yeah.
Like I said, when he looks at women, all I hate to say is, but it's true. When he looks at women, all he thinks is of his sex. That's it.
I mean,
Aside
it,
from that,
I think
aside from
I think
thinking, oh, let me try to be sure I'm not just after sex.
I
Nope.
think
He just that's
the
all it literally
earliest
is.
I think the earliest example I can think off the top of my head, right, that
Mm-hmm.
fucks him over when it comes to Makima, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about like
Uh-huh.
we talk about like chapter one, chapter two. We talk about this early, where
Uh-huh.
Makima saves Denji, right? Hires him for the
Right.
the protection services like for devils and demons, right?
Right.
And not even 24 hours has passed, right? They go to the you know which one I'm talking about. What they go to have a like a beer
I know.
together, and
Yes.
what was the name of the other one who has the eye patch?
Himino.
Hemino. That
Himino.
that she kissed him, you know, in front of Makima, by the way, even though he confessed, well, not technically hasn't confessed yet, but it was very obvious, right, that he developed feelings for Makima very fast, right? And
Right.
Hermino kissed him, right? He could have just said no or push away. No, he just let it
He really could
happen.
have.
He just let it happen in front of Makima while she's looking at him while drinking the beer, just like, bro, you fuck up, and it's not even a day. It's like, it's like,
But like I said, and then whatever he thought was getting laid. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like every situation when it comes to women, Denji is just you just want to get laid. That's literally it. There's no, let me show I'm not just some dude who only just thinks of sex. Nope, he just thinks of sex. That's it.
yeah,
As far as that goes, we don't
it
give a
al-
shit.
it also doesn't help. It also doesn't help with the exception of Rise and Asa. That every woman who pretends to have coming onto Denji, they're actually manipulating him. So that's
Mm.
another problem with Denji as well, that he just can't take a hint. It's like,
Speaking of can't take a hint, remember wait, go on his TV show page. Remember the part where it says smart and looks, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
no,
This is did this shit got the nerve to say cunning and perceptive in him the same. It's like this dude couldn't even tell he's being manipulated. This is the same dude that wouldn't even know what's making that squeaky toy noise. This is the
uh,
same dude who literally couldn't tell that Wardell was possessing Asa's body. The only difference is scars, and yet everybody else knew but him.
yeah,
You're gonna
yeah.
call that perceptive?
You
That's
talk
some
about,
bullshit.
yeah, that one scene where Joru reveal it. I will tell you who I am really am. I am the War Devil, and everybody was like, well, obviously, and Denji was like, what? It's like, what? It's
Like I
like,
said, you calling him perceptive. Who put that? You know what? I have a better question. Who even put that shit there? Because who would put that shit there? They should be an editor.
I
You
mean,
putting lies, man. You
I mean,
adding lies.
if I'm not mistaken, like I think they only apply to his combat IQ, which is it's all right.
That's kind
Like,
of it to a certain extent. To a certain extent,
yeah,
I might add,
yeah,
just to
like,
a certain extent. It's
you
not
know,
that big. It's not that
he
big.
he doesn't have book smarts. Definitely, he
Hell
doesn't.
no. Hell, he
He
don't even have regular smarts. He doesn't even have regular smarts. What are you talking about? Book smarts.
No, no. I'm
He
saying
has no
like
common sense.
combat IQ is the only thing he got going with him. And again,
A little bit.
compared to other people in the series, like he is like at best, like your
One percent.
like average, like for like
1%.
yeah. But like, compared to other characters who
Yeah,
are
he's 1% of that.
Yeah, but compared to other characters who are like straight up more skillful than him, the only thing that saves him because he's a devil human hybrid, right? He can regenerate, so he can just go full
Hmm.
berserker mode and take every hint without caring whether or not he should dodge. Compared to the other characters who are not demon human hybrid, they had to make up strategies on the spot. You know?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I feel like I said, listen, dude. I'm sorry, but that part of that page, I feel like they literally give him a little too much credit because his like, dude, even the way he fights is just hope for the best. He has no game plan whatsoever. He just wings it basically. He has no game plan. He has zero game plan. Hell, even his regular life, he has zero game plan. He just does whatever. You don't give a shit. It's
Yeah,
like and that mind, if I can even call it that, doesn't have nothing going for it. Because when you imply shit like that, you're making it sound like he has complex thought. And believe me, he does not have complex thought.
yeah. I
Like
mean,
I said, it
even
doesn't even help. He doesn't learn from his mistakes.
even the TV show page for Denji, right? Is he
Hmm.
said his that he has a type, like by his own admission, ignoring his actual type, which is like people like Makima and like Reise
Well, yeah.
who are more like dominant, aggressive, or usually what you quote unquote associate with like male roles, when it comes to like how they perceive relationships, right? But by his own admission, he said that any girl that is desperate for a boyfriend. So it's
Oh well,
like,
that's not really good. Well, that's not really good. Any girl that's desperate. Well, I hate to break it to him, but it's like I don't think any girl wants to go with a guy who's literally just thinking of sex 24/7. I'm sorry, but like I told you before, on a list of best boyfriends, he would not be on that list. So,
yeah,
because I hate to break it to you, dude, but even if you did have a girlfriend, I feel like he would just cheat on her. Knowing
yeah,
him, he would just cheat on her. He's
yeah,
just gonna be like the
but
next
like I
hot one
said,
that comes through. He's just gonna cheat on her.
like again, like by his own admission, that's the type of woman he like. But I think like accidentally, every girl that he tried to get with are like more like
Is
Makima.
desperate
Yeah, like no,
or something like that. Yeah.
every person
Well, I
that
mean,
he
Asa
actually,
in Asa's case.
yeah,
Yeah.
Asa's case, well, it's like she didn't want a boyfriend to begin with, but like she didn't have the personality until like Yoru step in, you know. So it's like, well, it's
There
like
you
kind
go.
like her sisters. So yeah, there's that.
Pretty much. Yeah, like I said, it's like he's like I keep saying, it's like this is the kind of shit I'm talking about with him being a bad anti-hero, and that he just kind of does whatever. And then, like I said, him using a girl for sex, which is also wrong. It's like, well, then that just kind of takes away from seeing anything sympathetic. And then, like I told you before, he doesn't even reflect on his behavior, so that makes it look bad. He don't look at anything. It's just he just does whatever. He's just basically a bad example. Like I said.
Yeah,
It's not
but
like the one I use at Deadpool where he doing shit because he cares so much. Also, like, no, he's just doing shit because he think he's gonna get laid. Otherwise, if he didn't think he was gonna get laid, he wouldn't even care. So there you go.
yeah, but like I said,
Like
like
that's was it a bad in the bad archetype of a anti-hero.
I mean, yeah, but like
Oh man,
as an anti-hero, he's not a good example, even though he's not supposed to be
not really.
a good. When I say good character, I'm talking about like a good hero, good anti-hero, good, you know, like that specific trope.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not good at that to begin with. He is basically, and I hate to say it, I mean it's kind of accurate. He's
Uh
basically
oh.
the Beavis and Butthead of anime. You know, he's
Pretty much.
dumb,
Pretty much.
dumb and horny.
Pretty
You know,
much. Yeah, pretty much because I mean, like I said, the problem is with him is that, like I said, even in part two, he just gets worse, and like he already said, he's pretty much kind of a loser in that. So I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I said, like you already said, like he would definitely use Oz for sex if he could. So I'm like, well, then there you go, he ain't no good.
yeah,
Like, even if it's not intentional, he's basically just being no good. And then some of that with all the other, people there is like he's not the best example. Like I
yeah,
said, even like I said, I remember in the one of the first chapters of part two, he even tried to use a Chainsaw Man identity to because he thought he was gonna get laid. So he was even trying to use that to hook up with Asa.
yeah,
So I'm just like, yeah, like I said, everything he does is out self interest, and like I said, him not considering whether or not how that may make Asa feel, or whatever, then that's what makes him just fall into just being a bad example. Like I mentioned before, especially because this is why like I keep saying, like I'm just gonna point this out right now. It's like this is why like I keep saying it would be funny to do a parody of like because just showing how far people keep ignoring his actions and try to put him in a positive light, even though he's not really in a positive light. His actions aren't morally right. Like I already told you before in part one, where with the cemetery fight, or before the fight started, with like her ideal, the perfect world, and then yeah, like he told me that the reason why he mentioned crab movies because how is like him trying to get about like how it was like be like if everything was perfect. But then the problem with that is like I already told you where he contradicts himself is that his idea himself of a normal life is having no problems, and then here he is criticizing someone else wanting the same thing. And then it's like he's just saying it's only wrong if someone else thinks of it. It's like, well, then that kind of defeats the whole point of this.
yeah,
I mean,
and
dude, let's be
also
honest. Imagine the tone. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, imagine how the tone will go from that part in part one if the moment we start just pointing out Denji's hypocrisy at that point. Now
oh
imagine
yeah,
how that's gonna go.
I
The
don't
tone for it.
that would be bad for
Now it's
Denji.
just now. That's what I'm saying. Like then it will go from the build up against Makima to just wait a minute. Denji's just a hypocrite. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
Every time, like I already mentioned before, is like every time he try to like act like he ain't like that, but and then it's like, but you just admit you would use them for sex too. So what are you talking about? You're not like them. Like you literally, it's like the only difference is you just don't look at it that way. That's the
yeah,
only difference.
yeah.
Because like I said,
I think the only argument you can say against that is like I don't technically disagree, but like the only argument you can say is like the scale and the difference between Denji and Makima's goals, where Denji just wants a normal life with no problems, right? Which many people would consider like a very small scale change, right? While
uh huh.
Makima is like a more big scale case where it's like no war, no disease, no death,
But you see, here's the problem.
basically paradise on
Here's
earth.
the problem. But here's the problem. That's literally like arguing semantics. That's like me saying, okay, I want incorruption, but just specifically in this building. But oh, you want to do it globally? Like, no, I'm going to stop that. I mean, what's the difference at that point? You both want the same thing. You criticizing them just because they want to, basically expand it. That's the only difference. That's just kind of arguing semantics at that point.
Yeah, but that
It's like,
the
oh, I want to clean this one. I just want to clean this specific swamp. Oh, you want to clean all of them? I'm sorry, no, we're not doing that. I mean, like I said, that's arguing semantics at that point.
no. Like I said, I agree where you're going with, but that's one argument. Some people will say like, what about, the difference between like the reason, the scale, and the difference. But like I said, it's mostly semantic, where it's like we both agree we want
But
one
again,
thing.
but at this
Like
point,
we both agree we want one
but
thing, but the difference is like how big or small is it? It's like me saying like, for example, like arguing with Batman or something. It's like, okay, we
uh
agree we
huh,
don't have to kill people, right? In your
right,
perspective, you just don't kill anybody, full stop, right?
right,
Superman will only kill if it's like there's no other option left. For example, if he can kill Doomsday, he's gotta kill Doomsday because he is too much of a threat to stay alive.
right.
You know?
No, but that's just it. No, but that's just it. Because if you would try to do that argument, then at that point, I'm just gonna be like, but then that was basically like you're saying it's okay for them to envision that, but it's wrong when someone else envisions it, just because they just want to make it bigger, which is just the same shit, really and truly.
Yeah. I mean, he
It's like
accidentally
basically saying, let me get me. Oh, go ahead.
he accidentally fulfills Makima's goals in part two, where he ate
Pretty much.
the Control Devil is dead again, right? Off screen.
Pretty much.
Este, because Denji didn't eat the Control Devil, so probably he's gonna get reincarnated again or somehow get resurrected. I don't know how they're gonna go with that because the plot is they lost
Go
the plot.
figure.
They lost the plot, but
Pretty much.
but he
Pretty much.
but he did eat is the death the Death Devil. So they already achieved one of the main goals of Makima by accident, you know. And I think the Famine Devil hasn't been in the plot yet, so I can't remember if he actually ate the Famine Devil or not. And he's currently fighting the War Devil to defeat her, right? While saving Asa,
Of course.
trying to find a way to split the two, like basically how Denji did in part one, where he managed to separate Pochita and himself for a short period of time, right?
Hmm.
That's basically the goal at the moment. How to do that again?
Of course, because that just came out of nowhere. No, but my thing is too is that like I mentioned before is like because like I said again it like my point still stays that it be contradictory and that his idea of a normal life is to have no problems, but yet here someone else is proposing the same idea just on a bigger scale, and as you criticize no, but listen, how does it sound like you're going to criticize somebody on something that you want? And then the only difference is that it's just coming from a different mind. I mean, like I said, that's why I say it's just basically arguing semantics at that point. Because I'm like I said, you want to remove 10% of this DNA. Well, oh, you want to remove all of it? It's like, no, no, we're only moving 10%. I mean, like I said, I don't really see what difference it makes really, truly at that point.
Yeah,
Because you both
pretty
want the same thing. The only difference is just a small scale of you, while the other one is just a bigger scale. I mean, it's microscopic versus macroscopic. I mean,
yeah, pretty much. It's
like I said, it's
that's
like
why
a
if you that's why you compare other anti-villain. Like we originally gotta compare it to another anti-villain who is like debatably more well written. It's the Roach from Sonic.
I
You
thought we
know,
both
like
agreed that Rose is a anti-hero, though, dude. Because we both just said called her anti-hero.
I mean, like she does good things, but it's like similar. It's like I mean, people did compare her to Catwoman, where it's like she does like
Yeah,
steal and does technically bad things, but she's not a villain.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I mentioned before with Rouge. Wait, hold on. I got to check some real quick.
Okay, let me give me a second. Pause. I have one Rouge.
No, I was gonna say, damn it, the shit won't stay closed. There we go. No, I was gonna say like Rouge. Like in her case, like I mentioned before, she's a good example of an anti-hero because one, she generally does care about Shadow, and then despite her being a thief, now like I said before, two, with her, not everything she does is out of self-interest. I mean, like for example, I remember with one, I forget the name of the story, but I remember with one like with Rouge where she shows she generally cares about Omega 2 as well, since they're both on Team Dark,
Yeah,
where she wants to like even when the world expressed that they fear Shadow, or at least in the fear future of how things turn out between Shadow and the world, it's like even she tells Shadow that she'd be on his side no matter what, and tell
yeah,
him to remember that, and he says he will. And then not to mention a bunch of other times where she tries to even do something nice for him. You see,
Yeah.
and she genuinely trusts Shadow and Omega too. So it's like, because like I said, even Rouge has her moments of like, she's a thief and all that, but not, like I said, a lot of her actions lean more towards the good side of things, and that, like I said, not everything she does is out of self-interest. Like she does do things, even if she has her own methods that you would consider heroic in a conventional sense. It's like she is doing it for right reasons, and
Uh-huh.
therefore, like I said, even her too, she's a positive example of an anti-hero. So that's where you call her a good anti-hero, because it becomes bad. Like the only other anti-hero I can think of that's an infamous example, and I would say that he's actually worse than Denji at being a bad anti-hero is Lobo, because like him too, he is kind of a shitty dude. even
Uh-huh.
even if it's not exactly a villain, he is a bad anti-hero, even more so than Denji, I'd say. Because he's made, dude, let me tell you something. I don't know if you knew this, but Lobo's made babies all across the galaxy, so he has all kinds of kids that's relate to him. I even remember one comic, like, they wanted to do a stance against Lobo because how many kids he made and shit, and, it's like him killing his own kids, and you don't even give a shit, so.
Yeah.
Especially that recent kid he made that's still alive named Crush, like, that's the only kid, or at least one of the ones I know that's like she's still alive, but she's one of the new ones. And I remember in the comic even said that, well, I mean, so many babies, so many women, I don't know who your mommy is, kid. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the main man's a bad dad. Yeah, the main man, he's a bad daddy. Unlike
Or,
Deadpool, where at least he's a good daddy.
or basically
Like,
every time you hear to lose, it's just magically I gotta get the milks and cigarettes in the gas station, never come back.
going across the galaxy and never coming back. And then I
Yeah.
remember one comic of him using a woman for money is like, yeah, I know, that's Lobo for you.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and him not paying for his meals at the restaurant, he does that shit, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the only other bad anti-hero I would say is worse than Denji is Lobo, because he just don't give a shit at all. But again, this is me for me to like I will admit that he's a bigger example of a bad anti-hero, but it's still like, Denji still, like I said, he just falls short of that given the shit Lobo does. But that's all he is. Or you wait, what about Rance? If I'm saying his name right, from that game, that guy that had
No,
King of
no,
the
no, no,
End,
no, no,
like
no, no, no,
him
no,
too.
no, no. He's a straight up villain. Like he is a straight up villain. Like
Okay, never mind then.
be-
Never
be-
mind. Never
okay,
mind then
let me
about
get it
him. Never
started
mind then about him.
because let me go on mini real quick with this guy, right? Because yeah, he is the
Okay.
protagonist of the Rand series, right? They just announced
Right.
they gotta remake all 10 games in on Steam, right?
Oh.
Este,
Okay.
yeah, and there is a spin-off series where basically what will happen if he was like a genuine like fantasy hero, right? But I'm focusing like the
Oh
main
no.
continuity part, you know?
Oh no.
Like he okay, imagine Denji, right? Imagine
Oh no.
Denji, but with intelligence, like he's smart enough, to like manipulate, do strategy, like how to rule like a gang. Is
Mm-hmm.
like, like he's smart enough. He has street smarts, right? Este,
Mm-hmm.
and unlike Denji, who wants companionship, right, in some way or form, like genuine companionship, right? Este, like Rance is basically Diddy.
Oh no.
You
Okay,
know,
I don't like where this is going already. I already
yeah,
don't like where this is
like
going.
he is the main character. I know the whole point of Rance is supposed to be like a erotic comedy, right, where sex and humor are mixed heavily, right? And it does
Right.
have a plot, right? It is an interesting enough plot,
Right.
right? But remember, he is not a good guy. He is a he
No.
is a he is a professional builder, you know,
Oh no.
who doesn't care about anybody but himself. He doesn't even remember the faces and names of every man because he considers himself as the only man ever, and every woman as his own as an object to exploit. Again, he is not a good person. The only reason people trust him because he is the only one powerful enough to stop like the big devil king or something like that. He's the only one that actually has the power to do that. It just so happened that he's a professional fiddler who doesn't care about anybody except himself. At least Denji has some level of standards, right? He is not a diddler,
I mean,
you
for
know.
one, well, for one, no, but for one, at least he believes in consent. But I don't know what else to tell you after this.
No,
I don't know what to tell you after that.
Rand's consent is an option, you know. Is the only standards that Rams has, right? I I don't know if there's not even a TV shows page for the Rams games because it's pretty much obscure. But like
Mm.
if the only standard the man has is two things: no children, so he will not be a diddler about that, and he doesn't like harming children. So anybody who harms children, he is considered enemy number one in your eyes, right? Este,
Mm-hmm.
and two, you have to be absolutely chaotic evil, not like evil with nuance or evil that is like let me try to manipulate the guy, but that he's like genuinely, I have to kill this person because he is a force of nature, right? So that's why he can
Mm-hmm.
take on the Demon King because he's like, for example, he is basically pure evil. This is something that he cannot reason out of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, he fucks himself over, especially the first example I mentioned, like no minors, because he is against this. He hates pedophiles, like he straight up hates them, right? But there's one character in the Rant series, I think it was the fifth game, if I'm not mistaken, because there's 10 of them, by the way. It was the figure where one of the characters, again female, turns into adult, like physically, like ages, like some type of magic they use
Oh,
to accelerate her aging process, right? But
trying to get flagged, dude. Trying not to get flagged.
uh, try not to get like indie, but that's the point. She's magic bullshit because fantasy, magic. She turns into adult. Mentally, she's not. Rance doesn't really care because he only cares about what the outside looks like. So even people will point out to the hypocrisy of his part.
Yeah, like I just said, I don't think want to get your own video flagged here. So to say that from happening, point is that like I said, other examples of what we were talking about with anti-hero archetypes, where like again the only ones and sadly that's a bad comparison still in its own end, but it's like compared to Lobo. If I'm going to use the example, like I said, he may not be as bad as Lobo, but the moment you try to compare Denji to someone like Adora, Finn, or even Steven from Steven Universe, now Denji just look like shit.
No, no,
Now
no,
he
no,
just
no.
look like shit. Like you can't even say nothing. You can't even say nothing. Like now he just look like shit now. You can't even
Yeah,
say nothing.
it's almost an
It's
insult to
like
compare to Finn and Steve.
I know,
And Steve Wonder because they're more
I
traditional heroes.
know,
They're not even anti-heroes. They're more
I
traditional
know.
heroes. You know.
I know. No, I'm just no. The reason why I say that is because some people got the nerve to try to compare him to someone like Finn. I'm like, Finn gives a shit, dude. He Dingy don't. So, like I said, next to guys like that, he just look like shit.
Again, like the previous video we did about
And
Makima, the
then,
the only reason they did the Finn and Denji comparison because of the because they're trying to compare the relationship between Denji and Finn
which
and
doesn't,
Makima with Finn and the Princess Bubblegum.
which is superficial because it's not even the same context.
Yeah.
Dingy just using her, just like she's using him. Finn isn't using bubblegum, even though she's using Finn. And then too, Finn's not with her because he's desperate. I mean, like I said, that's just a stupid comparison anyway. But if I'm going to use an anti-hero example of other ones, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the ones I'm going to use, I don't know if folks are more familiar with that, but it's like even Karai is a like. I would say she fits into being the good anti-hero archetype too, because if you've looked at her like storylines, I don't know how familiar you are with Karai from Team NT, but like
Uh-huh.
even her too, she falls into being more of a better like anti-hero because a better example of like the type of things that she does because her code of honor and the type of things that, like I said, certain things that she'll do, unless it like, serves a better goal and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, because like she's definitely crossed into that kind of category of basically you can tell where she's coming from, like with her intentions. Hell,
Yeah.
even Red Hood is a good anti-hero. Even Red Hood's a good anti-hero because he does generally want to help out. I remember in the Red Hood anime and movie, I remember him even saying like, like his method of controlling the other crime bosses, but again, that's just to keep the crime rate down. Like I said, he has good intentions. It's, these are the methods that he's using. Even if you don't want to call them heroic, like he does have a good noble cause behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, like I said with Denji, is like he really don't give a shit about that. So it's like now he just looks shitty. I'm gonna be honest with you, he looks shitty next to Red Hood. He does look shitty next to Red Hood, and he's
Yeah.
also an anti-hero. Now you can't even say that. Oh, he's a traditional example. No, he's not. He's not a traditional example. He's not a traditional example. See, now you can't even say he's say that's unfair comparison. Like it is a fair comparison. He's an anti-hero too. The only difference is that he actually gives a shit. Denji don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's like I said, hell, you know what? I could even use a dead shot at a comic I ever read where his goal was like protecting his town that he was in, that he grew up in. It's just his methods. Me, I would consider heroic, but it's like again, he's doing it for a right reason. Yeah, wait a minute, I just thought about something. Deadshot's origin is similar to Denji's in that he meant to shoot his dad, and in the context that's because his dad was very abusive to him and his brother in a
yeah,
very violent way. But then he accidentally shot his brother, and then from that point on, he made it clear to like never miss a shot, and he never shoots Batman because he reminds him of his brother. So that's why he never shoots Batman. And
yeah,
then he made a pick to basically people that he actually does care about or he's close to, like he makes it about like trying to protect them. See, now I just now found an example where he's like Denji in a similar way, but he's a better example than Denji as an anti-hero basically. See, now you can't even say that oh he is the other type of role. No, he is not. They are literally in the same boat, and Deadshot is looking better than Denji, dude.
yeah,
Similar background. The only difference is that he tries to like at least make it a bit better. Well, Denji is like he does not like again. Even he's not acting at always out of self interest. Like
yeah,
he's more flexible with that than Denji. What the fuck, dude? Tell me he don't look like shit next to him, despite them being in the same boat.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that is a hard thing to compare because, like, I mean, Denji did kill his father in self-defense because he was an abusive alcoholic. You know, if
That's what I'm
the
saying. That's what I'm saying. They're both similar in that, but the only difference is that Dash shot afterwards, like he want to protect and try to take out like the kind of folks that are, you know, corrupt, and then basically use his own methods of like handling business as I guess you can call him a kind of like sort of vigilante. Well, like Denji just don't give a shit, so it's like that. Like that's the only part you can talk about. But after that, but after his father part, I mean, now what can you say about Denji at that point?
yeah, I mean, like,
No, seriously.
I mean the context for Denji again. I know you gotta make a counter argument, but like the context for Denji after he killed his father and his father owned debt to the Yakuza, right? If they so he
Hmm.
became an orphan, homeless, absolute poverty, forced to sell like one of his testicles, like and fighting devils for the Yakuza to pay his debts, and that's why he became such a short temper jerk, hedonistic, because it's like for him only survive the next day. That's all he cares about. If I can live the next
Hmm.
day, like he doesn't have any long term
Hmm.
plan. He never developed any long term plans
Right.
because of his circumstances. Now you can argue that after his childhood, where he met Makima and the other character, where he now has a proper apartment building to live in, right? Where he doesn't need to resort to that character
No.
anymore. But
Oh no.
he kind of still does, you
Oh
know.
no.
Like you can argue he's no longer you can argue that he's no longer short tempered, right? He's mostly a jerk with a heart of gold because he is a good person at the end of the day. It just he doesn't know how to do it properly, you know.
Yeah, but here's the problem. But here's the problem with that. Even with Denji, is that again another problem with Denji. Hell, even Deadshot and Deathstroke have done this shit. Is that Denji, after all that shit that you just mentioned, fine, he was doing shit, and the only thing he was saying was about sure. But here's the problem with that still. Denji still uses people. Denji
Yeah,
is being no better than Yakuza if he and Makima and all the rest who do this shit if he's gonna be using people and he doesn't consider the consequences of his actions. Like I said, you can't really like listen. Like like I said, I get what you're going Denji, but the fact that Denji, like I mentioned before, the fact that he don't reflect, the fact he don't think of what kind of person he's turning into, the fact that he doesn't care. That's where he starts to lose all that shit. Where it's like you want to, like I just said, him using a girl for sex, but like I already told you, using it for someone's sex is bad because then it's just a means to end for your sexual gratification. So then that makes him no better than the people who abused him.
yeah. I mean,
Because I mean, like I said, him not thinking about that, then that's what makes him no better than. because he's just falling in the same trap, and then he can't even acknowledge it. That's what makes him look bad. That's what puts him on the bad mark. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean
because
you
I
can.
mean, hell, because here's because Oh, go ahead.
I mean, saying like, I mean, in part two again, part two has been a mess, but like, I mean, you can argue there is some character development because there's that one scene with the aging devil where it goes into like his memories a little bit about the things he regrets, and there's the part where all the people that he fell in love or had interest and never got the chance and he regrets. Monkey Mike's the only character that doesn't show up. Like you see Rise, you know,
Well,
but I think the
yeah,
only
but
the only
oh, go
counter
ahead.
the only counter argument as well is like that he's eating Makima literally like cannibalism. And his motivation was like for her to be part of him forever. So you can still argue that he still has something for her despite the whole dream
Yeah, but
sequence
again,
where
dude. But again, dude, that's just him seeing her as a sexual fantasy. That's not him thinking about as a person. Like I said, you keep jumping to that part, but I'm like, dude, that doesn't even count. He's still thinking of her as a sex object.
yeah
And then again, the people he's thinking about, yeah, but he's a problem. Even the people you talking about, he supposedly cares about. Again, dude, Rize, Himino, whatever. It's like, dude, he's not thinking of. Like I said, the time he spent with them, he didn't think about. Hey, let me try to show him that I got a positive thing going for me. No, he's just thinking about sex. In the
yeah
whole entire thing with Himino, the first part, he's just thinking, damn it, I won't get laid. Same thing with Rize. Damn it, I won't get laid. Not, oh shoot, I really wanted to, help Rize out and come for her. No, he's just thinking about getting laid, dude. You
yeah
keep trying to use that example, but it doesn't help. Denji, let me ask you a simple question. This is a simple question. Is there any part where he says to himself, "Hey, let me show her that I'm a swell guy"? Oh, hey, let me show her that I can be caring to any of the females? Asa,
the,
Himeno,
the the only character I can
Rize.
the only character they can think of is Rise, where he was waiting for her to cafe holding a bouquet of flowers because he believed, that the promise that she was about to fulfill before she got killed by Makima, that they're going to run away together, and escape from Makima, which didn't happen. But I mean, there was that one moment, that he did care for a moment before went back to Makima.
No, but my question still kind of stands. I'm sorry, dude. Even then, my question still kind of stands because if in part two, like you were said before, when that church you said, oh yeah, you can get laid just as long as you hook up with the with a person, and then he's just like, no, that almost convinces me that the moment you would have hooked up with her, like, oh, you were finally away, like now we can have kids, like, oh, nope, deal breaker. Like I don't feel like he would just do that at the end, like, well, he fucked that up himself.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm saying like I'm sorry, dude. I'm not convinced because I've seen this, dude. I've seen this happen before where guys will hold a bouquet. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this right now. Holding a bouquet don't mean shit because I've seen dudes, especially do that kind of thing where they hold bouquet or whatever, but all it is just to get laid and fuck off, you know. And now I just feel like he would just done the same thing. So I'm not even really fully convinced with that. Even that's just skeptical. I'm sorry. Even that's a bit of a stretch.
I mean,
Or
yeah,
he's just like
I
holding a
mean, yeah.
bouquet. Then she reveals, "Oh, let's have babies." No, no, no. I'm out. I'm out. Like
I mean,
now to him, because I feel like him, you just being like, "Oh shit, I can't get laid." Never mind.
this is the problem with part
Like
two. This is the problem with part two in particular when they reintroduce Denji
mm,
as the main character. You know,
that
where
doesn't
it's
help.
like it shouldn't stay at chapter 96. Either two
Pretty
things.
much.
Either
Pretty much.
the manga ended at chapter 96, which is where part one ends. Either it should have ended there, or they should have stick what they did the first half of part two, which Asa is the main character instead of Denji, which was like the first half of
Right.
the part two, right? If they stuck with that,
Right.
and Denji is more like a reoccurring side character, occasionally like
Pretty much.
yeah, like for what Deus Ex Machina reason, for example, where it's like, oh, Asa is fighting this devil, like the main villain of the part two, and he needs some help. Denji comes in to be part of the story, but he's not the main character. You know, it's the
Right.
that could have worked just fine. Just leave it ambiguous about his status mentally and psychologically after part one. You know, and don't resort to like basically a hedonistic idiot who didn't learn his lessons. You know,
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, and then they just throw this romance shit between him and us out of nowhere, which doesn't even fit the bill. I mean, like I keep saying, it's like Denji just progress, and that's the other thing too. In part two, he progressed worse as a character, and that he's just doing this, still doing the same shit despite all that happened to him. And like I keep saying before, is like him using folks, and now you're really giving a shit about it. So then he's basically no better than the people who abused him. Like I keep saying, it's one thing to be a victim, but victimhood alone doesn't make you right. If the victim actions are bad, then guess what? Now the victim is unsympathetic. You know. So don't be trying to act like he has a stance morally when he clearly doesn't. Don't treat his actions in the right direction when they clearly aren't in the right direction. You know, like I
Yeah,
already said before, like because I remember because a few times you keep trying to like use the whole how his feelings for Makima even after what she done to him. It's like dude, the way he looks at Makima is the same way like Hal and Gaston look at Belle and what's her name Roxanne. It's like he's just seeing her as a object for his sexual desires. He's not thinking of her as a person even out and the fact that you just said would like I was just like just said after part one he's still looking at her as a sex object, then that right there makes him look bad still.
yeah,
It's like well then that looks bad on you, so then that's not good. And then like I said in part two it's like he's even more open about sex, so like I don't know about that, because you keep trying to like I said you try to you try to be Denji's lawyer and it's not looking so good. It's like let me think. Oh, lawyer, allow me to break all the evidence. Let me think. Oh yeah, he was using Makima too for material gains. Did you want to use that example about when he got in with Makima? And he also used her for basically her status to get benefits, and only went to her when you wanted something, and only thought about her when whenever it was convenient for him in any situation you wanted to get into. Oh, and on the plus, he also used a chance. I mean, identity also for whatever he thought he could get out of something. It's like you do need more evidence here. That's why,
este, your honor,
like I said,
your honor, my defender over here is not very smart. So it's like so
let me think. 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 You know, it would look good. Bring Makima to the stand and just have to ask him one question about. Denji said you pretended he mattered. Okay, that's true. But now let us ask to name one single moment where he decided to go to her because again he wants to basically care for her feelings, not because he just wants something from her.
yeah,
And it's like, Denji doesn't have an answer. Funny. So basically, you don't care. So my second question is, what are you complaining about if you don't care?
pretty much like again like that's the problem because Makima like was she wants just a family, right? Denji could
Right.
have been that person, but because he
Yeah,
was,
he's not that person.
but because he was too much of a hedonistic, right? That you know,
Right.
the Makima was like, like no, you're like either the other. You either want to manipulate me or you want something out of me. If the like you're
Here's another problem with that. No, but here's another problem with that. Like for example, if my even like listen, if there was a situation where if to ask, okay, who is she considered the sweetest person? Denji wouldn't come to mind. Sweet, kind-hearted. Whoa. No, that's not Denji. Sorry, that's not Denji.
like like
Oh,
sweet
so
like a
sweet and
sweet
caring and
like a s-
attentive. Nope, that's not
like
him.
no, that's not him. Like
Mm.
is he a good person deep down? Yeah, doesn't show him much, but like yeah, I think what
Does
character?
he? Oh, no. I think the better question. I think the better question is, does he care about you? No. Well, then I guess the good person thing is looking a little bad now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the only character that you can argue is a sweetheart by any definition, right? Is
Oh
the
no.
is if I can remember her name in particular, is
I think I know who you're talking about.
the she's like she's always nervous all the time.
Kobini.
Kobe, yeah, like
Oh no.
she's the
I
only
really don't want
yeah she's the only see yeah Kobe like she's the only one that is like a sweetheart to everybody. Or mostly because she's a nervous wreck, but like but at least
to. Okay.
she
I don't want to. I don't think we should use her as an example, dude. She's too much of a. She's too unstable. I don't want to use her as an example.
I mean
I mean, it's just that no, because it's just that, like I said, it's like yes, he may have a heart deep down, but here's the problem: his actions morally always lean towards the bad side of things, never the good side of things. Because, like I mentioned before, it's not looking good. You can call him out on the shit, and now it looks bad on him too. You know, like I already mentioned, like I told you before, the moment she would have been one of the moment of the story would have been like her calling him out on his hypocrisy, and the story where it's supposed to be billed to her, then it would kind of mess up the tone, and now it'd just be okay. Then he's a hypocrite, you know.
Yeah,
They'll just be like, okay, he's a hypocrite. Now he has to face the fact that he ain't being no better. You know, then it would turn into that instead. You know, then it would turn into that direction instead of just being a huge bill against Makimo without acknowledging that. Wait a minute, you're using her too. So what's your point? Like I said,
yeah,
the thing is with Denji is that, like I said, he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't have a moment, which would have at least made room for character development, but he doesn't have a moment where he reflects on his actions and realize he's being just like the people that abuse him. You see, then at least he would have had the character development, but instead it's just, oh, he does whatever. The narrative treats it like he's in the right, even though he's clearly not in the right. It just goes along with it. You know, I'm just like, did I miss something here?
yeah.
Especially the fandom, they completely ignore that shit altogether. And I'm like, wow, everybody's just blindsided by this bullshit.
I mean,
And I'm like,
I
this
mean,
is
we're not the only ones that noticed like part 2 went downhill. It's like
pretty much,
in the writing department specifically, because I
pretty
think
much.
what was the other YouTube channel that at least I'm subscribed to, King of Lightning, right? Like he
You told me
also,
that. You told me
yeah,
about
like he also acknowledged like after the Chainsawman Church, yeah, from there on it went
it went
downhill
to shit. It went to shit. Yep.
because they reintroduced Denji as a character, the main protagonist again, even though his story arc was practically done in part 1, right? And
Right, which was not making sense.
then Asa became the new main character. Nobody was complaining about that, you know.
Not
Este,
really.
and then they reintroduced Denji, and I got the impression at first when when I was watching it, like when it was each new chapter coming out
Mm-hmm.
at the time. I
Mm-hmm.
got the impression he's gonna come back more like a supporting role or side character, or like he's gonna
Right.
be in the story, but he's not the protagonist. Like Asa is the new protagonist.
Right.
And then I realized, oh no, they reintroduced Denji as the protagonist. Okay, let's see where this goes. Maybe it will be not so
Yeah,
bad,
that went downhill.
and it went downhill.
Yeah, you were dead wrong. You were dead wrong. No, but the problem is with part two is that, especially since I stopped reading it, it's like it just literally just stopped being a story, and I don't even know what to even call it at that point. It just turned to shit, and then I'm like, what are we doing? And then what didn't make sense to me is like you just gonna make Yoru the main, like, like generic villain at the last part of these chapters, and I'm like, okay, that just kind of came out of nowhere. That came out of nowhere. Like that didn't make sense to me given the context, but whatever. It just, and I even predicted that he would do that. He was just gonna make it be like do a similar outcome, and I was like, well, that what did I tell you?
Pretty,
What did I tell you?
pretty much. I
And then
mean,
I was like, well, there you go. It's just this is no different. If you're gonna rehash the same shit you done before, then this is no good now.
yeah, I mean, they were doing something interesting with Joro at the beginning, where yeah, she wants to bring back war and use Denji as a weapon because like that's the best way to achieve it, right? But she did admit like the only reason she wants to bring back war because she's scared of being forgotten, you know, and like scared of being alone. But given her connection with Asa, probably she could have changed her heart or at least like compromise her goal to something else, right? If
That would have been interesting instead of just
probably what
that would
Denji
have
is
been interesting instead of
uh,
yeah.
probably
Yeah,
what
like
Denji
yeah,
Denji
like
was doing, where Denji at the moment part 2,
yeah.
right before they started the new arc, he's a superhero, right, so to speak, right? If the Yoru could have done something
I don't know if
similar.
we want to use that word, but okay.
I know that's not the right term, but that's how he portrayed himself. You know, as the
Yeah, like you just said, how he portrays himself. I don't think people outside we say because a real hero don't be looking themselves as a hero. So
pretty much. But you get my point where like she could have went to that route, like going to like a more superhero-ish route, where it's like she can use her powers for like small scale wars against other devils, instead of going like full end the
I
world.
mean, okay, I think maybe the term you're looking for is maybe go the anti-hero right, but or anti-hero route, but a better version of that, where it's like I'll do this for certain occasions or something.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
but
dude. The fact you just mentioned that, the fact you just mentioned that made me think about that trope where they're gonna put literal good person, bad publicity. Like, no, more like bad anti-hero, bad publicity.
Pretty much. I mean,
I'm just like,
it also doesn't make sense because it's been established this is an alternative history 1990s Japan, right? Where
uh,
the World War I never happened. And because World War I never happened, there's no nuclear war, there's no fascism,
don't you
again,
mean, don't you
like,
mean, don't you
what?
mean World War II? Unless I'm missing something.
No, World War I. It's World War One. Like there hasn't been a
Okay,
war
okay, okay,
since
gotcha.
there hasn't been a war like since World War One. Este, and again, we already did a video before that you can thank Makima for that. It's the off screen, but but besides the point, like even though there hasn't been a war since World War One, and that's why the most powerful devil is the gun devil and not the nuclear bomb devil because that does exist. Until part two, they just announced that America not only created a nuclear bomb from scratch, right, but they nuked Russia. So the America again. I just love the fact that it is unironically anti-American the manga because part one established that the president of the United States, you know, by his own admission said if we let Makima achieve her goals, it will be heaven on earth or paradise on earth. We are against that.
Why is that bad?
We are against that. He explicitly said that. Now in part
You
two,
know, this is making me think,
uh,
dude. Wait, this is making me think a quote of her from Legion, where it's like, it seems that the hero is the villain is the hero, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see that here.
yeah,
You literally are against world peace.
yeah.
That's not, and that's bad because.
Not only that, it's the like now part two, they just made a new nuclear bomb from scratch, which is why, but also
Go
like
figure.
they nuke Russia or I think the USSR. I think it's still the USSR is still a thing, right? If they nuke the USSR, right? So you basically started World War III. So Yoru is more powerful than ever, right? Which is the thing Makima trying to prevent because she is the reason why
Hmm.
Joru, the Little D and and the Famine Devil, are now released in the public because she was the reason holding them locked up. Now she's gone, they got loose, and now Yoru's more powerful because of America.
There you go.
So
There you go. But see, but this doesn't. But see, but the problem with that is that this doesn't make sense. Yoru, up until that other chapter, is like, you just make her out of blue a generic villain, and then considering the path that she was headed on before that, it just doesn't make sense with this context at all. It's like, wait a minute, she went from feeling something to now all of a sudden not feeling that. Like, what the hell are we doing here? That's a transition that's just like, what the fuck?
I mean, she's an American now.
I don't get it.
She loves America now because they create
Where did that come from?
because they create the
But where
nukes.
did that come from?
Because they create the America create the nukes from scratch, even though they're not supposed to exist. You know, as the
And like, that's not a good justification for her to just turn head over heels just like that. That doesn't even add up with the context. It
it
just
is
come out of nowhere.
it is what it is. I mean,
And then on top of that,
it,
and
it,
then we didn't even have a main villain in part two. You just threw her in randomly as one because I guess he couldn't think of another one to put. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't
they could
really make sense.
they could have used her other sister Famine, who clearly wants to destroy humanity. As the
Right.
like she's the obvious villain, but guess not. I mean, that's the funny thing. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, basically, you have the death devil, the famine devil, the war devil, and the control devil, Makima. Even though the fourth one in actual Christian mythology, it should have been pestilence, like disease, but I guess that title was already taken.
Go
Este,
figure.
but
Go
but still,
figure.
Makima was the only one that actually has positive views of humanity, which is the one thing that people often overlook. She is the only devil
Pretty
in
much.
the entire Chainsaw Man story. Of course, if I reread the Chainsaw Man story, I may find other examples, but she's the only major example of a devil that actually has a positive view of humans compared to war devil who wants to bring war, right? If the famine devil clearly wants to destroy humanity, you know, and the death devil, at least apparently before she got eaten by Denji, so there's no death anymore, I guess, unless there's a retcon. She doesn't want people to die, so you can argue she's a little sympathetic to human, but again, she got killed way too early. Este,
You
and
underutilized her.
yeah, and also the reincarnation Makima Nayuta was that's how you pronounce it?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, you said it right.
even though she's a better person because she was raised with love and care by Denji like a little sister, she still has a somewhat negative view of humans by default. You know, like if she doesn't really care about humans get destroyed or not, unless they interrupt something that she likes. Like for example, like would there be pizza after the apocalypse? No, then I'm not gonna destroy humans. You know, like she doesn't really care about humans unless it's something she likes, you know, compared to her previous reincarnation, who clearly has a more positive view of humanity.
No, but the thing is that, and that's another problem too with the four horsemen. Is like they get like the last two get pretty underutilized. Because Famine, she partly even appears, and then the other one called Little D or whatever. It's like she's not used too much. She's just kind of there, and you didn't do nothing with her. It doesn't even help that people what they were expecting the Death Devil to be, and now it's just kind of like, well, that was let down. I expected her to be something, but that
Yeah,
didn't happen, did it?
and she
And
and
then on
she
top of that,
and
like
she died very early on after like what 2 or 3 appearances. So
well, that's wasted. That's wasted. That's very underutilized. Like I said, I was expecting her to be an adult or something and see her have a certain kind of ability, not just get thrown away just like that. And I'm like, well, you basically wasted what could have been going here.
yeah,
And then some of that, like I said, with him, it's like uh, Famine, Harley, same problem. She hardly appears. And then yeah, you're after so many chapters, like now they just don't double down on her for some reason. I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't add up with the context. That's all I could tell you.
yeah,
And sorry, there's a dog barking outside.
it's fine.
No,
I
but
don't hear it, but yeah,
no, yeah, I thought you heard it, but it's cool. No, but like I said, it's like they underutilize your. Well, I mean, no. Like they basically just screwed your over, and then like especially fucking up by making Denji the main character again. Where I'm like, okay, why are you making him the main character again? Because it doesn't make sense in this context. And my thing is, look, if you're gonna be writing this shit, especially starting Asa off as the main character in part two, then keep the focus on Asa. Don't. Speaking of which, Asa has hardly even appears after that. So it's like, no, if you're gonna make him the main character again, then you need to wait until part three, because then it's just screwed up the focus, and that's exactly what happened.
pretty much. And only now the newest chapter, she came back 41 page because they're setting up the final battle between. I mean, they're technically already fighting, but you know, to finish the final battle between Yoru and Denji, so Denji can save Asa. You know, so only after
Right,
20 plus chapters, I may be wrong, but it feels like somewhere around 20 chapters we haven't seen Asa in the story, like actually Asa, not talking about mentioning her or referencing, I mean her in the panels, you know. It's the
I mean, like I said, Asa, she's just a background character, and even though she started as the main one, it's like this don't make no damn sense. Like, do something right, and like he screwed up his own manga, and then after part two ends, if part three's no better, then I'm like, well, it's just gonna be forgotten at that point. Once
I
part
mean
one is over, that's all you get from him.
I mean
Like you said, they should do with B stars.
because the problem is with like the creator Chainsaw Man, he is similar to Baki and Joju, where those you're not in it for the story. Right,
Right,
he's the type of mangaka where the priority is the visuals, the action, the emotions, you know, what the characters
right,
expressions and stuff like that. Like
right.
writing is not his like main approach, right? Chainsaw
I
Man,
know.
Chainsaw Man was basically the first time. Well, you can argue there are like short stories are like better in his writing, but like when it comes to longer term stories, Chainsaw Man was like the first one where he originally had a plan for a story. It was good for part one. First half of part two was
Then part
good,
two,
and then I guess
and then went to shit.
he just lost the plot. Just didn't know what to do with it anymore. Again,
I mean, like I said, at that point, no, because I mean the thing is like unlike Chainsaw Man, it's like a part with Baki and the what JoJo's like they can at least get away with it because of the type of setting that they have. But him, he can't. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that. To get away with. So it's like you have to do something right, otherwise you'll fuck it up, and then the story pretty much ends from part one for real because you ain't got nothing left to really show after that. Because like I said, part three is no good. then it's just gonna be shitty, you know. Then it's just gonna be like, well, people forgot about Chainsaw Man after that shit happened, you know.
Yeah.
And so it looks bad right now that people don't really talk about part two like that because part two is just all over the place. You know, I've heard like how people be like, yeah, no one's really talking about Chainsaw Man Part Two. People only talk about Part One. No one really focuses on Part Two. You know what? You know what makes it look even worse? You don't see people talking about like, especially I know cosplayers. Like you do not see no cosplayers going big about Yoru or going big about like like how all the rest look at Part Two or how things go in Part Two. Yeah, you don't see people doing that because it's doing bad right now. And
Yeah.
then it doesn't even help that because of how he set up that part by making Yoru for some reason a generic villain. And like I told you before, it's like, okay, we're just repeating a plot that we've done before. Oh yeah, she only needs to change something for whatever reason. It's like, yeah, you just rehashing shit, dude. You're not doing anything new or different here. It's like and then to make it even more funny, he basically achieving what Makima's goal was for part one. No, there's
Accidentally.
just not there to witness it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, like you're so basically that makes part one kind of pointless, and that you just basically achieved the goal that she wanted. So it kind of defeats the purpose of part one now too. Now I think about it.
I think he will. I think he will find a way to retcon this. How it would not end up like what it think it
Because I
is.
mean, yeah, but like I said, because then that kind of defeats the whole purpose of part one. Then since that was the whole point, and it's like, oh well, you don't put yourself in a hole there, buddy. You know, it's like,
It's like
and then
we
like I
need.
already said, did
It's like if the retcon competition. Who will win? The creator Chainsawman or the creator Naruto? Like who will win in the retcon competitions? Yeah.
it doesn't even help. Like I already mentioned before, it does like I already told you, it doesn't help that Denji contradict himself with his whole wanting his perfect life, but oh, someone else thinks of it on a bigger scale. Oh, now it's wrong. It's like I already told you then. That's just kind of like it was the same as I do. And anyone who tries to argue, oh, it was a small scale. Like I said, this is literally just arguing semantics of microscopic and macroscopic. What difference does it really make, dude? You want to remove
Yeah.
10% of this disease? You want to remove all of it? I'm like, you both want the same thing, so what are you even arguing about at this point? You want the same thing. No, yours is them is just bigger.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this. It's like that thing you told me about. You know, like you both are the same boat. You think to be natural allies. I guess that's what happens when you have biases. It makes people do stupid shit like this. Like I said, it's like I said, the whole idea of like what will be like if there's no problems. The whole idea of your life, if your perfect life is not having no problems, like, well, that's different. No, it's not. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. It's like, no, it's not. That's exactly the same thing.
I know.
I swear, dude. I feel like I legit feel like it was scared of that whole situation between him and Makima. It's just like, yeah, that's what I thought. I swear. And then it's just like her, like especially like him complain about being used or like you use people like, but you use me. So what's your point? And he's like, I didn't think of it like that. Really, you didn't think of it like that.
I know.
Yeah, like I said, like I know, like I know a bunch of times you keep talking about Denji has a good heart, but then what does that good heart mean if he keeps doing shit that is no better and he's doing things that are wrong and doesn't even reflect on it? And what kind of person does that make him at that point?
Yeah. A, a very flawed one. That's all I had to say.
Dude, the fact, like I mentioned before, using for like I already said before, using someone for sex is abuse too. So then the fact that he's not even looking at that, I mean, then what does that make him now?
Yeah.
He's losing his good guy status basically. It's like, dude, that's no better. Like I keep saying, it's like people in the fandom for some reason do tend to ignore those things, and I'm just like, I almost feel like I could do a whole entire skit of like, wait a minute, but you're doing exactly the same thing they're doing. He's like, no, I'm not. Like, you are. You use them for sex, didn't you? Well, then that's wrong. At that point, it's like you're complaining, you criticize somebody doing something wrong, but yeah, you're doing wrong too. So
Yeah.
at that point, it's just like, uh-oh. It's at that point, it's like, uh-oh, what do I tell them now? Shit. Wait, I mean, I didn't mean it like that. Especially, like I said, it's like like I said, it's just turn into that again. It's like, okay, you're not. I'm sorry, dude. It wouldn't even help, or if they just have to straight up say it out loud, like say it, Denji. You're not making sense. You're not
Yeah.
making sense, dude.
I know.
It's like I said, it's like you gonna try to criticize her, but yeah, you're doing exactly what she's doing, and then you think you're in the right somewhere. Like, what the hell?
I know.
like especially like him gonna try like especially during the whole battle at that point where he gonna try excuse me